So, all
That's
right,
true.
I guess we'll go ahead and get started. I think some folks are going to continue to filter in as we go. So, what do
Sure.
you say, Jim? Let's get the party started. Is it time?
Absolutely. Let's have some fun here.
Yeah. This is a highly anticipated conversation. I am here with Jim Vantyghem. Did I pronounce that right? I don't know if I ever pronounced your last name right.
Absolutely.
Right?
Van, drive, tie, wear, gum, you chew. Perfect. You said it perfectly.
Perfect. All right. This is a heavily anticipated episode. We're talking about the Impruver Challenge. For those of you who don't know, the Impruver Challenge is it's a 30-day challenge, and it is definitely a challenge. By the end of it, the idea is to develop the habit of daily improvement. In some unique cases, like my good buddy Jim here, my main man, he was actually getting daily improvement within the first week of the challenge. So Jim came through and put on a clinic for the rest of us, showed all us CI pros how to do continuous improvement the right way. So Jim, if you want to do a 10-second introduction of yourself real quick.
My name is Jim Vantyghem. I work for a company called Associated Materials, Inc. We're a window and vinyl manufacturing company. And at present, I started as the maintenance manager, been with the company for 2.5 years, and now I basically take care of the corporate level. I am the senior manager for the software and for implementation, and I work with the continuous improvement group.
So you oversee the CMMS software. You make sure the mechanics are logging their hours. You do a bunch of other stuff around that too, right?
Yeah, I spent 35 years in the business and always in the maintenance and engineering, but I also was an operations manager, production, manager, so on and so forth. So getting a good roundabout lesson in industry and in the business. And that said, this company was no different than a lot of companies I worked for. CMMS systems kind of put off to the wayside, no data collected. We're 2 decades in a millennium, and I can tell you it's no different from 1990 as it is to today.
Right.
And so in order for us to make a difference, we need to collect data. And from data, good, useful data, and from there, we need to make some business decisions. And business decisions based off of truth, not data that's skewed based off of fear. And so a lot of things have been learned, a lot of things in the mindset level. That's probably the most important in the coaching and communication to make these efforts fare out financially and rewarding for people's growth mentally. There's been a lot of things.
You hitting on something powerful there, using data to make decisions based on truth and not on everything except the truth, right? And that's I think that's the war that we fight as continuous improvement people. I think it's the war against non-truth decision making, and the way we value people, the way we value our assets, the way we value our customer, and truly getting to a point where we're using scientific thinking to drive the way the business goes. So very cool. In this challenge, Jim was one of 5 coachees. Mario Aguirre out of Mexico was the first coach, and I was the second coach. And Jim, you came through and showed us how it's done. I never introduced myself. I'm Calvin Williams, founder, CEO of Impruver, and I've got about 20 years working with companies like Nestle, Tyson, Mars, most recently senior manager of global continuous improvement with Clorox. And we've built this Impruver Challenge as a way to engage folks and get them certified through the continuous improvement process. So Jim just completed the first kind of base level Impruver Challenge. He just got his certification there. Next level is the first coach. That was Mario Aguirre. And then the second level is the second coach. And you can get certified all the way up through the process if you do decide to take the Impruver Challenge. So, all right. So Jim, on that note, segue in, why did you decide to take the Impruver Challenge?
Well, I'm a believer in models of excellence. So you look at people that have created, as I said, models and success. And so I've followed you for quite some time, Calvin, online, and you speak to my value system very much so. And getting involved with, your presentations and following the first cohort of trainees like Mario, it inspired me to look more into the software. And I've also engaged in a mindset leadership coach that I work with, and we talk about tools in our bag of tricks. So tools that we can use to help us to improve ourselves and any mission or any objective that we're looking for. So I'm looking at the Impruver software based off the CATA and PDCA. When I started with the company I'm working with right now, they were using the PDCA, but using a lot of whiteboards, and it really didn't go anywhere. And it really wasn't a lot of a clarity of how to get there. So when I had saw what you were doing, I realized quickly that it was a mindset and it was a training issue that happened. So I decided that I wanted to do two birds with one stone. I need a great big challenge that I have right now with my company to take it to another level with its KPIs and take us to a different level of maintenance, maintaining our assets throughout the corporation. And then to do that, I wanted to be able to have a proof of concept with mindset and communication, and I wanted to use an excellent tool that would help me. Now, I will say this, that the reason that I like the Challenger, the Impruver challenge, is that the software was designed by somebody who worked in the trenches and has a lot of experience with this type of approach.
Yeah,
you've got a lot of software out there designed by people who do not have the experience behind what the software was intended for.
Yeah,
and you, sir, have built a fantastic product, and so was for the introductory course and the cost, it'd be crazy for somebody not to try. You got 30 days.
Thank you.
And that was the reason why I got involved.
Thank you so much, Jim. As always, you are a delightful person to talk to and to learn from and grow with. So I really appreciate the kind words there. You make a good point, though. I mean, Impruver was built. It's a software product. You know, there's a lot of folks in the lean and continuous improvement community who are a little bit adverse to software and technology. So it's a little bit of a sort of a risky thing to do. Build a software for CI people. And but you're right. I mean, it's coming from a perspective of someone who has been in the mud for years and years dealing with stuff, right? And I actually started on the shop floor. Actually, was my first manufacturing job. I was in the union, right? I was a member of the union for a while. It was a summer manufacturing job at Square D in Nebraska while I was in school. But yeah, man. So you can tell that like a lot of features and functionality come from dealing with people on a day-to-day basis in the reality of the factory setting or healthcare setting, trying to drive improvement, keeping them engaged in the continuous improvement process, because that's a big part of it. I like to say that continuous improvement falls apart at the seams, in between tools, in between meetings, in between projects. That's where CI tends to fall apart. So yeah, Impruver is designed to keep it together and keep it going and keep it flowing in an organic way. So, all right. So for this challenge, what did you decide to focus on for the Impruver challenge? You touched on a little bit with driving utilization of the CMMS system. Dive into that, unpack that for us a little bit more there.
Well, I had a rocky start, to be honest with you, because that wasn't the challenge I set myself up for originally. Yeah. I was looking at time management, because time management is very important to be able to meet some of our goals and standards. But I learned something very interesting. It was through the help of Mario. Mario was a great coach.
Yeah, he's good.
And defining one's purpose is very, very important. So, defining the intent, purpose, and starting point of the challenge was huge. So I took something, I thought about it, and you and I had a conversation, and Mario had a conversation. I said, I want to change my directive. And good thing I did. And I've always maintained in the world of industry, and anybody who's working in maintenance and reliability, our main goal is to maintain and continue to improve the throughput, reliability, capacity, and safety of our company's assets and environment, whether we do it through people, products, equipment, property. And we want to do that through leading and lagging KPIs, probably a ratio of 5 to 1. So really that's where I said, okay, I'm really going to take the bull by the horns. And so the reason that I wanted to start off with that is because if we're going to do anything with KPIs in our plant, we have to understand, I keep going back to the human side. That's why I love Rob Kolarowski and his approach and leadership. It's very massively important that we take that in consideration. And the idea of starting with the KPIs was to get people to put information into the system. If I don't have good information, I can't do anything with it. And one of the interesting and most easy approaches to any of our endeavors is to get people to put their labor time into the CMMS system.
Right.
That is the start. Get the habit, get the mindset. So as I said, my idea was, and my goal was to proof of concept oriented communication and mindset change. So that's how I got started with putting my system together. To the long-term goal was to maintain and continuously improve the throughput of the company's assets and so on. That's the start of it, long-term.
Good. You hit on some key too, because that's probably the hardest part of the challenge, right? It's coming up with that. What is it that we want to focus on, right? And time management, although that's a great capability to have, to be a good manager of time, it's more of a means to an end. It's not really the end. So the end you're looking for is more around better performing equipment. And then that sort of leads us into your target condition, which was to get, what was it, 80% utilization or 80% logging of hours into the CMMS?
Well,
right?
We started off with, we had, the reason I chose that target again was to slowly introduce the concept of why we're putting in labor time. So as I told you, I did the target condition of setting in, we need to get labor time in. So I had to have a starting point. That's the interesting thing about target conditions. You have to measure against something.
That's right.
That's right. We're measuring against the availability of maintenance people, and whether you use a payroll system. And again, I'm getting ahead of myself, but we're using the payroll system because that's easy. It tells me who was there today, who wasn't. Take those available hours, and now we look at our CMMS system and we start comparing how much time did they put in the system compared to their available time. Again, so we can drive the data. The more hours we put in, the more accurate we get with the hours, the better we're going to be able to analyze future data. And so my target was, I started off with, we were roughly about 45%, and we ended up with 86% after the challenge.
That's incredible.
Huge change. Yeah. But you know what the key to that is, and we can address that as we go along here. But the key was getting the mindset in. So it's not just, hey, I want you to put hours in. I want to tell you why. I want to tell you why you're doing a great job. I want to coach you every day, mentor you every day, get the maintenance managers and the lead hands coaching their people as to why we need this data, and show the results of that data and how it's beneficial, and get people thinking out of the box of what they can do with that data. I've done that for years and years and years, training people. I've done massive amounts of in-class CMMS training. And that was the whole thing. Getting people to do work can be the difficult thing, more so than the work itself. So that was the target condition. And every week, we actually met the target condition within the first, we said 55% was our first target condition point. We met that in week 2.
That's right.
We surpassed it, actually. We set a new target condition, and we met that target condition in week 4.
Yeah, that's right. So in all reality, you were already hitting daily improvement in the first week, not let alone everybody else trying to get there by the 4th week. So 40% increase in utilization, going from 45 to 85. You practically doubled the utilization of your CMMS system. Absolutely. For the collection of data, absolutely we did. And it wasn't, and you know what? It wasn't a difficult thing to do. All it was talking, conversation. But mind you, we did find some amazing things we had to do, and we did find a lot of improvements that had to be made. So this scientific approach really made a difference. And actually, all the maintenance guys, hats off to them, were engaged. They were coming to me with issues so we could resolve them on the spot. And it was fantastic. Couldn't ask for a better group. So talk through some of those specific improvements that you made. If you got a couple big, 1 or 2, what exactly did you do?
Well, let's just talk. It's a quick list here.
Okay.
First of all, we found a software glitch on the way that data was put in and how it could be recorded.
Yep.
Second, we found out that we needed some tools in the way of training. So we needed some work instruction, detailed and simple. detailed and less detailed summarized work instructions that could be put on by the computer, or put by the computer so people could read them and refer to them.
Man.
And we also needed to have some specific training with documentation and a test environment to give people the ability to put things in. We can't make people learn and understand. We give them the ability to do something.
Right.
So we found also that we needed to change the access rights for the maintenance people, which we did. So we worked with the software and made the access right changes. And in that, those improvements alone got us to where we wanted to get.
Man.
Just those little things. And we're still improving today. We still found some more issues. And I can speak that the other 6 plants that I have out of 12, they've massively improved. One person went from 5% to 49%. So in 1 week jump.
Dang.
Training people and telling them. So
Nice.
Tell me we're not getting success, right?
So a lot of it is just focus, right? A lot of it is just kind of zeroing in on the thing you are now on the hook to improve, right? And not only that,
Exactly.
you're joining a cohort of 4 other people, and a coach and a second coach even, and you're having to report out on your progress every week. And I think that adds a level of accountability, not just for yourself, but the whole cohort to actually perform at a higher level. Right. And bring the A game, essentially.
Exactly. And you and I spoke to this before, and what was very interesting is, like we said, the issues in our plants and our departments are screaming at us every day.
Yeah.
They're screaming at a frequency that we're probably not in tune with half the time. So we have to, and we talked about this, being in tune to the frequency of what people are saying. And the maintenance people were speaking loudly to me of why they couldn't do what they were doing. And we addressed those concerns quickly.
Nice.
And we addressed them in quickly and timely fashion to give them the tools and support and to build that trust that we're hearing them and they're being heard. And it made a world of difference. That's to say, it's the mindset of what we're doing that is the biggest thing here. So it was a great challenge, and we did obviously make some massive improvements.
Man, excellent. We got about 7 more minutes. If you guys, if you guys visiting us have questions, drop them in the comments, and then we'll get those worked in toward the end there. But Jim, you actually got a visual. You showed me, was it this morning or yesterday? You showed me a chart with the actual numbers from the beginning of the challenge toward the end. Right? Yeah, look at that, Jim. That's so you, Jim. That's so you to be prepared with visual aids and all that stuff. Good stuff, man. We may have to work the actual software metrics into the post production of the video here. So all right, very cool. So what were some of your biggest takeaways during the challenge? Like, what do you feel was like the biggest nuggets for you? Kind of learning the process and learning the technology and learning your way through the activity.
Well, I could tell you some of the biggest things that I came across was defining purpose and clarity of what we want to do. That's very, very important. Being realistic, making our goals achievable, challenging. You have to be in that state of flow.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm so big on mindset. And that's why, I am a big Rob Kolarowski fan, as I am a big Calvin Williams fan. And that's why when I talk about the leadership launchpad that he has, it gets you, those type of courses get you in that mindset where you need to be to get that clarity you're looking for. Without that, I would have had a hard time getting through what I did.
That's always the hardest part.
It is.
So you were in cohort 2, the third cohort, and just about everybody else who's been through this struggle a lot in the first few weeks getting clear on what it is they need to focus on doing.
Exactly. And we need to understand that it's the mental side. Bob Latino is a great guy to tell you, Toby, he takes RCM and he applies it to life. Yeah. Those are the people that, and like you do the same thing. If people listen to Calvin Williams, get out there and do it, because you do the same thing. You look at the human side of it. What do we want to do? So for me, it was a lesson in clarity of purpose. It was being able to teach other people that lesson of clarity and purpose, and to move forward with what we're doing in these endeavors with the Impruver challenge. It's a fantastic software, easy to use. It's not inundated with a lot of things that cloud your mind, that take you away. When you got screens that are busy, it's crazy. The RCIA portion of it, that root cause analysis right into the task list, man, you can't have something better than that. I love to see this software in LinkedIn with a whole host of other software packages because it works. If you're in the mental health business, this software will apply to it. If you're in the sales business, this software applies to it. If you're in reliability, anything, the principles are all the same.
I promise you, we touch on the psychology of the software design and the process design and all that stuff. Even though it's built on Toyota Kata, I'm a big believer. If you ever see any of my stuff out there, I'm a big believer that you should try to do one improvement every day, right?
Absolutely.
And I'm moving myself toward, I got my own power hour at 6 a.m. every day. I get up, reflect, plan, and do. Capture my data point. What did I learn from what I did yesterday? Plan what I'm gonna do today, and then do it. I do all that within a 1 hour time frame. A lot of time it really only takes about 30 minutes. And then every day, the following day, I get up and repeat the same process, reflect, plan, do. That's sort of, it's really PDCA, but it's just PD and C, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. But that thought process repeated on a daily basis, it changes your psychology a little bit. It changes who you are, makes you a little more creative, and gets you kind of in a flow of improvement on a day-to-day basis.
Absolutely.
And I know
yes,
you do a lot of work with, I know Susan Hobbs and Rob and everybody else about, mindset and sort of getting into that frame of mind to make a difference. So I don't know, what was your take on how this is all structured, in that regard?
Like I said, I love the challenge. Of course, I'm committed to growth, and that's part of my value system.
Yeah.
And I see so much potential for this software and what you're doing. As I said, I'm a big fan of you, man. I tell people that all the time. You got to go listen to this guy. He walks his talk. So what you've done so far with the software,
will get you everywhere, Jim. Flattery will get you everywhere.
yeah. The points. Yeah, I know. Yeah, that I can't buy a Starbucks coffee with, but anyhow.
That's right. You got some Impruver coins. That's true. You did win some Impruver coins during the challenge, didn't you?
Exactly, I did, but I had to do my homework for it, and that was good, so I earned them. But I can't say enough about the Improver Challenge. Again, if one needs his mind open, the things you can learn about yourself and the things that the results. I proved it over and over again. So if I can do it, you can do it. Excellent. And I didn't even go in looking. I wasn't comparing it to anybody. I was just trying to learn. And I wanted to prove something out in this, and the software worked wonders for me. And I'm going to be promoting it wherever I can, because I think it's a fantastic tool to use and designed by, as I said, somebody who actually has been in the trenches and walks the talk. That's rare to find, those type of software packages.
Man, that's terrific, Jim. Hey, I really appreciate that. And of course, you're now part of the community, and we all engage. We got a big Slack community, and it's growing. And of course, you've raised the bar for us all. Honestly, you came through and put on a clinic.
It's not what I wanted to do, but anyways.
Yeah. If I could bottle your story, put it in a bottle, I think it's an extremely powerful story, because you're someone. I mean, CI is not even your main job at work, but you got the mindset and you took it and you made it into something fantastic for your company, and even it's affecting the company's bottom line as well, from what you did through the Improver Challenge. Oh, by the way, the other folks you were in the cohort with are all from different companies too, which I think is good for you to get their perspective on some of the challenges they face with driving that CI culture. So,
absolutely.
Fantastic. So let me ask you this: if you could do it over, what would you do differently?
It taught me a lot, and I guess the thing I would do again is right now, more said clarity of intent and purpose.
Right out of the gate.
That's the big one.
Right out of the gate.
Yeah. Clarity of intent. Good. You got to have clarity of intent. And so if I could do it over again and I could have clarity of intent, I already have so many other things that I can use this software for. Now that we have time in place, now we can look at, and you saw that in a lot of my notes that I put very detailed notes to every target condition. Not only we captured target condition, we looked at the work order type that was used and where we're spending and the correlation. Remember the correlation we saw? When there's a high level of breakdowns in the plant and there happens to be people that are, the resources are reduced because of vacation or sickness, time entry in the system created some issues.
Interesting.
And we found that out, and we saw the correlation, and we also saw that people will put their time in the following day. So what it will do is it'll show, even though it averages out, it shows a false sense of data entry. Yeah. One is lacking, one is increased, but they average out the same. So again, what did it do? It drove us to find better tools to collect data.
There you go.
Can we get it at point of repair? So point of use, point of action, point of repair. So where do we do it?
I'm just curious, as you saw the usage of the CMMS increase, did you also see an improvement in equipment performance?
Exactly.
You did?
There was a correlating equipment performance. If you've seen,
wow.
If you saw a lack of resources, of course, there's always going to be those people that are, I was saying, when we had a lack, let me step back for a second, get clarity. When we had a lack of resources, we ended up with a lack of ability to get what we needed to get done in a timely fashion. So if we had preventive maintenance and they were focused on driven to get the preventive maintenance done, but they're inundated with breakdown maintenance, of course, then what did it lead to in my results? Lack of data input.
Yeah.
So
that makes perfect sense. Mm-hmm. All right. We're getting close. We need to wrap it up. So I want to open it up. If anybody has questions for Jim, make sure to drop a comment in the comments section, and we'll get those worked in. In the meantime, Jim, let everybody know how they can reach you if they want to get a hold of you.
The best way to do it is just go to LinkedIn, send me a message, and from there I can most certainly get back to you with an alternative contact information to do so. I'd love to hear everybody's comments. I'd love to hear, your thought process of what's going on in our plants and so on. I think as we're moving into the further into the millennium, I think a lot of research has been put into the psychology of safety and so on and so forth. And so there's a big change in mindset to get things done. Yeah. And I think we need to focus more on that and use these tools in conjunction to make some differences, because we're all suffering the same thing. We're just we're either afraid to say what we have to say or afraid to report the appropriate information. And to finish, let me tell you something I found out in a weekly meeting. With KPIs, with doing what we're doing, some of the group wanted to only show PMs completed on time for weekly PMs because they knew they couldn't get all the PMs done. Why? Because they were afraid to report this number being lower than what they thought their executive managers would expect, and then have to answer to it but not be heard. Wow. So I just gave you a massive scenario that is held in every single plant that I can imagine that we've all been through. So you can see why I would push the issue of psychological safety and mindset and leadership. It's important. And Kelvin, thank you very much for getting that message out with all your podcasts. You do a fantastic job of it. People need to listen to what you're saying because you are giving a great message.
It's important.
Bug's life. We talked about it. Bug's life. We've got the locusts and we've got the ants, and there's thousands of us ants.
It's important. I've been there, and I've seen what people are going through, and to some extent, it could be classified as inhumane to put people through that just because they're trying to help the business, right? So that's key. So okay, we got a few minutes before Zoom actually kicks us out. I just want to make a statement here. If you are interested in learning more about the Impruver Challenge, feel free to visit us at Impruver.com. You can find Jim on LinkedIn. The Impruver software is also available on Impruver.com. It's free. We got a freemium model, so it's free for the first 6 users, and then it's $15 a month per user after that for other folks who want to join in the company. Like Jim did, for example, you can always just take the Impruver Challenge external to your company, and then if you like it, you get certified up, then you can start to bring the model into your company, including the software package and everything else that comes with that, the community and so forth. So it's a great way to roll the software out without requiring top-down, 1 million approvals, signatures, a bunch of capital and all that stuff. You can just start doing it, getting benefits, and then sort of ripple effect it into the organization. So All right, that's the end of the show. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to join us. Jim, it's always a pleasure when we get together.
Thanks.
I really appreciate your attitude and your mindset around continuous improvement, and you're one of the guys I look to for further inspiration. So yeah, thanks again for what you do, and certainly looking forward to engaging with you more as you start working through your first coach certification. Hope you're ready for that.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for the privilege. Thank you.
Yeah, it's my privilege. My pleasure. All right. Good chatting with you, and we'll see you guys soon.
Take care.